Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be tackling about 6 ways foreigners can own land and buy real estate in the Philippines. Compared to other countries, the Philippines undoubtedly still has highly regulated real estate industry. There are very strict rules regarding non-Filipino citizens purchasing, owning, and investing in real estate. And by default, foreigners aren't allowed to own land. There are exemptions to this rule though. There are at least 6 cases wherein Philippine laws allow a foreigner to buy and own a property, yes, including land. So, if you're a foreign citizen looking to purchase and own land, check out my guide as I discuss this further into details regarding real estate purchase and ownership in the Philippines. So, the question is, are foreigners allowed to own land in the Philippines? Well, as a general rule, ownership in any land in the Philippines is exclusive and limited to only Filipino citizens. This is enshrined in the 1987 Philippine Constitution. However, there are several exceptions that would allow foreigners to own land or acquire real estate property in the Philippines. And I'll explain this further. So, what are those exceptions? First, property was acquired prior to the 1935 Constitution. Second is, property was acquired through hereditary succession, with the foreigner being a legal or natural heir. Next is, purchase of a unit or units in a condominium project, subject to 40% foreign ownership limit in the condominium or corporation. Purchase of land by a domestic corporation subject to 40% foreign ownership rule. And then another one is purchase by a foreign married to a Filipino. Next is purchase by a foreigner who is originally natural-born Filipino subject to limitations set by the law. So I will explain these scenarios. For the first scenario that I have included, acquisition before 1935 Constitution, this is pretty straightforward. A foreign citizen who was able to purchase and own land prior to the enactment of the 1935 Philippine Constitution will retain his or her ownership rights on that property. So even though the 1935 Constitution has been already replaced by the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the new Constitution continues to recognize the right of a non-Filipino citizen to use and own the property, including land, as well as it was acquired by the foreign citizen before the 1935 Constitution. Scenario number 2 is that, for example, if you acquire through hereditary succession, the Philippine Constitution of 1987 is clear and explicit in its prohibition of land acquisition by foreign citizens. So, however, Article 12 of Section 7 of the same Constitution includes minor exception that allows heirs to acquire the property even though the heir may be a foreigner. Now, according to the relevant section of the 1987 Constitution, Section 7 of Article 12, save in cases of hereditary succession, no private land shall be transferred or conveyed except to individuals, corporations, or associations qualified to acquire or hold lands of the public domain. Simply speaking, if, for example, a foreign citizen is a legal or natural heir by hereditary succession and was duly included and instituted in the last will and testament by a property owner, then that foreigner is allowed by Philippine laws to acquire said real estate property. Furthermore, second scenario is that an example of order of hereditary or intestate succession under Philippine law is that legitimate children or descendants of the deceased, and then we have legitimate parents or ascendants. Next, illegitimate children or descendants, surviving spouse. We also have siblings, brothers and sisters, nephews and nieces. We also have other collateral relatives within the fifth degree, and finally the state Philippines. Now, another question that all of you or some of you will be asking is that, can a foreigner who is not related at all to the landowner be legally assigned to the last will and testament as heir who will inherit the land? Well, the Philippine laws does not allow this. Foreign citizens are allowed to inherit land only by virtue of hereditary or intestate succession without leaving a will. So, dying without leaving a will. Now, another question is purchasing of a condo unit. So this third scenario is perhaps the easiest to understand, since this has been typically cited as the most common for a foreigner to own property in the Philippines. Under the Condominium Act of the Philippines, or Republic Act RA 4726, foreign citizens are allowed to buy condo units in any condominium project as long as foreign ownership of that project does not exceed 40%. For example, let's say condominium project X is currently offering 100 units for sale, right? So under the law, all 100 unit owners become owners of the project X condominium corporation. So the residual owner of the condo building, the condo developer may market and sell condo units to foreigners as long as the percentage of foreign ownership in that project will not exceed 40%. So it means, for example, the following groups of foreigners bought the units of condominium project X. So let's say 20 Chinese citizens bought one condo unit each, total of 20 units. Now 8 Korean citizens bought 2 condo units each, total of 16, right? And then 1 American citizen bought 4 condominium units, so there's going to be a total of 4 units. Total overall condominium units bought by foreigners is 40 units. So given that the foreigner ownership is the condo project is combined of total of 40 units out of 100, the required 40% foreign ownership limit is met, and this is therefore allowed. Anything above that, let's say 41 units or more, is illegal and a violation of the law. But here's the question. Who's going to be in charge for monitoring the foreign ownership percentage of the condo? Definitely, it will be unfair to pass the burden to the foreigner buying the unit, right? So this responsibility lies with the management of the condominium corporation or the condominium homeowners association. They are in charge regularly and religiously checking that foreigners only own up to 40% of the units sold for that condo project. Next, does this mean that since foreigners can own condo, they also own the land where the condo is situated on? No, not really. The land where the condo was built is not owned by any individual owner. In reality, the land is owned by the condominium corporation. However, in cases where the land is merely leased and not bought and acquired by the condominium corporation, the land is likely owned by another company and will revert to the latter upon extinction of the lease of the condo holding. For lands owned by the condominium corporation, upon termination of the corporation, usually after 50 years from its incorporation, the unit owners will vote and decide what to do with the land. These are typical options. First, either they can choose to demolish the building and erect a brand new condo, while simultaneously instituting a new condominium corporation that will own the new building, or they could also decide to sell the land where the existing building is situated on, while sharing among themselves the proceeds of the sale depending on their ownership stake in the condominium corporation. The fourth example is purchase of land by a corporation. So the only requirement is that the corporation must still abide by the 40% foreign ownership rule, which means Filipinos must still have the majority ownership, at least 60% stake in that corporation. Now, Purchased by a foreigner married to a Filipino. This is also another scenario. For example, if a foreigner is married to a Filipino citizen, the foreigner is allowed to buy land. But here's the catch. The title of the land, called the TCT or Transfer Certificate of Title, will be in the name of the Filipino spouse. The foreigner's name may be included in the contract or deed of sale, but it cannot be in the TCT or land title. Yes, the foreigner may have purchased and acquired the land, but in reality, he does not own it. For one, he is not allowed to dispose the land unilaterally. That is without the explicit permission of the Filipino spouse, who is the actual owner as per land title. So in the event of a Filipino spouse death, the foreigner becomes the natural heir of the property. Since the foreigner is not allowed to own the land, here are some of the options that he can do or she can do is that they can dispose the property within a reasonable amount of time in collecting the proceeds of the sale. Next is passing ownership to the children or legal heirs, or passing ownership to the Filipino spouse relatives in case the couple is childless. Purchased by a foreigner who was natural-born Filipino. So, natural-born Filipinos who lost their Filipino citizenship and acquired foreign citizenship are eligible to own lands in the Philippines under the 1987 Constitution. The relevant provision states that Section 8, Article 12, a natural-born citizen of the Philippines who has lost his Philippine citizenship may be a transferee of private lands, subject to, of course, limitations provided by the law. This simply means foreign citizens who were former natural-born citizens of the Philippines are eligible to acquire and own lands. And then, foreigners with special retirement visa can own land in the Philippines as well. There is unfortunately a misconception among foreign retirees in the Philippines, specifically those holding a special resident retirees visa, or what we call SRRV, on whether they are allowed to own a land. According to the Philippine Retirement Authority or PRA, the agency in charge of issuing SRRV, foreigners holding an SRRV are not allowed to own land or real estate property in the Philippines. If the foreign retiree is legally married to a Filipino, the foreigner may purchase land, but like in case number 5, above, the property will be registered in the name of the Filipino spouse. The exception is if a foreign retiree holding an SRRV who was a former natural-born Filipino, the applicable rules will be the same as the rules of the natural-born Filipinos who acquired foreign citizenship, as case in number 6 above. And if you want to learn more about these details, you can actually contact me on my Facebook page, choose SMDC for investment. You can also contact me on WhatsApp, Viber, and Smart, as well as in my Instagram account. Okay, so thank you so much, and see you on my next one. I will be discussing about SRRV. Okay.